Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here. Got a lot of sun coming in here, but I am bundled up because it is cold outside. I'm not sure we've even hit 32 degrees yet. Anywho, welcome to Saturday Snacks, where I will once again be talking to you about a cookbook that I bought that I will probably never cook from, using the recipes in their entirety. That cookbook is Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, A Story of Excellence by Gordon Ramsay with Matt Abe. I have talked about some of this before, but I'm going to talk about it again. Restaurant Gordon Ramsay on Royal Hospital Road in London is the first Michelin-starred restaurant I ever went to. It's also my sister and her two boys' first Michelin-star restaurant that we ever went to. It was not our last, and at some point later on in the years, my sister's youngest, we got to some just regular restaurant, and he goes, for my first course. So we always got a kick out of that. But the people at Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, Gordon was not there. There was another chef in the kitchen. Were so kind to us. They took us back in the kitchen after our meal was over. We got to meet the chef. We got to ask questions. I was so shy back then that I couldn't think of anything to ask. Now I'd love to have the opportunity now, but it will probably never happen. But when I was surfing around on the internet, I found this big book over the holidays, and when I saw it about Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, and I had to buy it, because regardless of if I ever cook from it or not, it makes me feel good, and it reminds me of that great trip that I had with my sister and my nephews. So, I am going to feature a few things, because even though I say I'm not ever going to cook from this book, I might take some ideas from this. For example, and bear with me, this is a sea bass with dill, buttermilk, and caviar. Sea bass is relatively easy where I live, easy to get where I live. And he uses a nori matcha powder to dust the surface of this sea bass after it's cooked, I think. And that's brilliant. I love matcha. So I may take this, a buttermilk and dill sauce, or he calls it a dressing. Easy peasy. Now, this also calls for caviar. The kind of caviar I would have access to isn't going to match Gordon Ramsay, so I'd probably omit the caviar. But I certainly don't want to spend that much money on just me. Another recipe that I might take and modify is one for roast duck. And he says, combining duck and fruit is not new, but it is to me. He also, I'm going to try not to knock myself out with it. I've been wondering what this little crust is on this roast duck. It's a crisp sobacha, which is a Japanese roasted buckwheat tea. Adds a nutty, biscuity flavor and contrasting crunch. So that's intriguing to me. And combining a sherry gel, yeah, I'd have to modify that a lot, because some of these ingredients, a Boiron Morello cherry puree, I don't have access to that. So, anyway, during our evening at Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, I took one pic, and back then, this is before phones had good cameras, so I still have the picture, but I had a roasted venison, and the closest thing in this book was this, an Idaho Park fallow deer with pumpkin, sprouts, Pontiac, and Grand Vinegar sauce. This is not something I would ever cook. I don't have access to venison. I'm not a hunter. And what would I do with that much deer meat anyway? It kind of makes me sad because I would love to give it a try, but it is what it is. And finally, this is a lot of work, but it's not something I'd do on a whim. I'd have to really think about this, but it's a two-hand pickup, y'all. This is roast chicken, Jerusalem artichoke, black garlic, and jus gras. He says, while roast chicken is a classic, we take it to the next level by brining the meat, then gently forcing a deliciously light chicken, bacon, and thyme mousse under the skin. And he tells you how to make that chicken, bacon, and thyme mousse. It's a lot of work to do that. I think I would have to try that. Try making the mousse and then maybe doing it with chicken thighs before I did it on a whole roast chicken. That's actually something to think about. Again, a lot of work. But I could see how I could make it work in the smaller form. I wouldn't want to buy a whole chicken and try this without testing it out first. But then perhaps if I ever had company, I could do it. Anywho, this was a really short Saturday snacks because I don't want to go through every recipe they have in this book. But it was a good memory for me. This is actually marked down on bookshop.org, but it's pricey. I think the original price for this book was $75. Very expensive, but every time I look at this cookbook, I will think back about on our visit to Royal Hospital Road Restaurant Gordon Ramsay. And if you've had any special dining experiences, I'd love to hear about them. That is it for me. Only a few minutes this Saturday. I'll be back next week. Happy reading!